Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to back to my channel. If y'all never been here before, welcome to my channel and welcome to the first episode of this series that I'm calling All That Matters. Today I'm gonna talk just a little bit this evening about who I am. I know it's been a while since I put anything on my channel, and I promise I'm fixing to get back. Started putting stuff on there, but not gonna go bore y'all all with all the details of what all's been going on. But anyway, I want to start with this series. Before I got some other videos coming, but I just wanted to start with this because the Lord put this on me quite a while back, and then I've that it's just been one struggle after another. It seemed like it just always seemed like something keeps me from doing what I need to be doing. But I'm gonna tell y'all a little bit about myself and my backstory, and kind of a testimony, not a full detailed testimony, my entire life, just but the last couple of years for sure, and just and what some of this means, and what the Lord means to me, and what I know that He has shown me. So I'm 38 years old, and I'm from here in Northeast Louisiana, and it is the Sunday before Easter right now. But so I was raised in church. When I was young, I definitely went to church all the time. My mama was she's passed on now, but she, was a Christian woman and loved the Lord and always made sure, we were in church. And, but then, I got grown and went into the oil field, and I mean, there was a lot of life in between what I'm telling you, but, one thing led to another, and then, got married, when I was 25, and then, I knew the Lord, and I know that I did, and at times, that I would go, I would go to work, and then I'd be offshore, and then there would be times where I just would go a long time without praying, and then I would miss the presence of the Lord, and then but I never really, made it the most important thing in my life, I guess, and, as I got older, I got, like I said, I got married and had, had kids. And here a couple of years ago, I had, I struggled with going in and out of church, I struggled with some people that I knew. I struggled, with knowing people all my life that would just be in church for a little while and get out of it. When you're a child, you just, you believe what you're told to believe, and then you go to church and this is what they say, so you believe them, you get grown, and then the devil wants to plant seeds everywhere, I remember thinking, why, were some of these, it just bothered me. I remember it bothering me seeing people that would, be in church for a little while, then not be in church for a while, and, and then be teaching Sunday school, and the next thing you know, you turn around and they're living in all kind of sin, and I just remember that didn't seem quite right to me, and then it almost got to the point where it's, like, well, I just, I know I believe in the Lord, but what's the point in all this, if this is how it is? And I remember always knowing there was something missing, that there's more to that, than what I'm seeing. And I'm not saying I didn't know godly people that truly love the Lord, because I definitely did. I'm not talking about everybody, but I was just going through some struggles. And then the Lord led me. The Lord led me to a church. It was the year after my mama passed away, she passed away in 2019. And I know the first time I went to this church that I'm in now was in 2021. But I remember I'd just been away from the Lord for a long time, and I had, I just felt it. Yeah, I just started feeling conviction in me, because my kids weren't in church. That was the biggest part of it, I was thinking, man, I don't remember the last time I took my babies to church, and here I am just worried about me all the time and what I want to do, and you know, hunting, and just, you know, you just get lost with work and everything. The world just takes over, you know, and you slip away. And so I remember just on a Friday, I think turkey season, every few years it seems like, I don't know if they do it on purpose or not, but they open it on a Friday here. But anyway, I had some jobs opened up that I was trying to get done, and so I went. So I ended up going turkey hunting that Friday with a buddy of mine, and then that Saturday I said, man, I'm not going. I got to go back and finish this job that I have going, you know, so I can, if I get it done, then I can focus on turkey hunting. So I went and finished the job that Saturday, and I remember I got it finished, and I came home that evening, and I just remember my wife saying, you know, that well, I bet you're glad, you know, now because you can go turkey hunting in the morning. I said, well, actually, I've been thinking about something all day, you know, that tomorrow being Easter and everything, and I just remember thinking, man, all I'm worried about is going turkey hunting. This ain't, you know, this isn't who my mama, you know, raised me to be, and I know better, you know, and I can feel it in me that just this isn't right. So I wasn't going to tell my wife, you know, what she had to do, you know, so I wasn't going to try to hold her to go into church, but I wanted to go to church the next morning. And I remember telling her, you know, if you'll help me get the girls ready, because I didn't know how to do their hair and all that, you know. So, and they were little. I said, so if you'll help me get the girls ready, I'm going to go to church in the morning. She said, yeah, that'll be fine. And then she asked me where I was going, and I told her about a place. Somebody at work had told me about a church, said the preacher was good, you know, and he'd only went one time. And I said, I don't even know what time they start. We may just go to the parking lot, you know, plenty early and see what time they start and go in there when they start, and just wing it. But I really feel strongly that I want to go to church. And so then my wife asked me, you know, well, do you care if I go? And I'm like, well, of course I don't care if you go, you know. So we end up going to a church that morning, and I know, you know, looking back, I know the Lord led us there, you know, and because he had something, you know, so much bigger in plan. And if you knew the events that led up to why we went to that church just didn't make any sense. Looking back, don't make any sense. It was just the Lord, you know, doing what he does. And so we go there. Well, we start going to this church for a little while, and then I start to realize, you know, my spirit starts to come alive in me, and I start to realize, you know, look at some of these men in this church, you know. Look at the pastor of this church and some of these men of God in here. These are the people, these are the people, you know, that I've been looking for. These are the people that I knew one of them pretty good, you know, and I knew a lot about, you know, another one. And I start to realize, you know, well, man, these are the guys that don't go in and out. You know, these are the people who live for the Lord and love the Lord and serve, you know, and they're grounded in who they are, and they don't go in and out of, you know, intentional sin, you know. I said, if I was going to do, you know, if I was going to do this, you know, this is who I want to be like, you know. This is something real, you know, and that's what I wanted. I just didn't want any part of the in and out and you know, and like I've already mentioned, yeah. So we started going to this church and went for a couple of years, and then man, the devil got a foothold in me. You know, I wasn't doing any, you know, just blatant horrible sin that anybody knew about, you know, but I just had some stuff in my life that I did, you know, that I'd go in and out of that I didn't want to let go of, and so I ended up just getting in this really bad place, you know, and the Lord had tried to just, you know, get a hold of me several times since we've been going to this church. And I had, at times, you know, I would really, you know, start serving the Lord, you know, and just, man, my prayer life would get better, and I was, getting stronger, you know, and then, man, I slipped, and I don't even remember how it all happened, but the next thing you know, I'm just, I don't even like to admit this, you know, but it just shows, you know, even me looking back, you know, if you turn away from God, you know, saying just and you just have a godless mind, you know, then you just open yourself up to anything, you know, and I know that, and I knew that the Lord wanted something more from me, and I had, but man, I just got into a bad place, and I just, man, I just started believing lies from the enemy, you know, and then I got angry all the time, just started being just, man, I was just mean, you know, to my wife, and I just was never happy. I didn't have any inner peace. I didn't, and oh, it was horrible. It was worse. It was the worst mental state I had ever been in, and I completely quit going to my church at all, and my wife was still going, you know, and taking the kids, and man, I don't know. I was down on myself, and I had, you know, and I knew that the Lord wanted something more from me, and then I started believing those lies from the devil, and I said, man, you know, I told the Lord, I said, I can't, you know, it's just going to have to be somebody else. I can't do it, you know, I can't live this life, and man, I guess I just I thought I was just going to do my own thing, you know, I felt like I wasn't worthy, and I couldn't do it, you know, and I just, man, and I guess I thought that I could just stop right there and turn around and just live some, you know, secular life. And I can't, saying it, I don't even like saying it, you know. I don't even like admitting to myself, you know, that that's who I was. But that's where I had let myself get, you know. But that's where I had let myself get. And I just, man, I didn't know where to turn. I knew where I needed to be, you know. I don't know. In a way, you know, kind of losing my mind, I guess. And I just felt dark. I felt in a dark place, and I felt like, you know, that darkness was following me around, and something started coming to my mind again that hadn't in several years, because the reason it started coming to my mind is I started seeing it. And if you're wondering why this episode is titled 911, I'm fixing to tell you. So I had, it had been several years, I don't know the exact time frame, but during this time, I had started seeing a number all the time, like on a clock, or in a lot of times somewhere else, you know, just as in it was. And I knew, you know, this had happened years before, and I told one person about it, and I kept seeing that, and I don't remember how many years before, you know, but I remember telling my sister one time that I keep seeing a number. And that's the only person I ever remember telling that. And I said, I know, when I was younger, you know, I don't know if I was married then or when I told her about this or not. I honestly can't remember, but I mean, I was grown, but there was, you know, during that time, she was the one person that I knew that I would actually speak to. So about things like this, you know, that I could talk to about something like this. And we just told each other stuff. And I said, man, and I was not close to the Lord during that time, you know, but I just remember saying, I keep seeing this number, and I know it's God. I know God's trying to tell me something. And she's like, well, oh my gosh, what is it? You know, and I told her, I said, it's 9/11. I see the number 9/11 every day, and every time I see it, there's not a shadow of a doubt in my mind that God is showing me this number. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's a warning. I don't know if he's trying to tell me something. I don't know, you know. But then I remember after a while it went away, you know, and then it would be every now and then it was never. And I remember looking back on it at times thinking, man, I wonder if it's a good thing or a bad thing that I don't ever see this 9/11 anymore, you know, so anyway, fast forward to however many years later, now I'm in this dark time, you know, I'm a terrible person that nobody wants to be around, you know, I'm just angry, you know, I'm not the daddy I need to be. I'm not near about the husband I need to be. I'm not even a good guy at all at this point. And I started seeing this number again. Like during that time, I remember thinking, man, come on, God, we're going to do this again, you know, like I literally feel, you know, the devil will put all kind of lies in your head, but I literally just felt like darkness was just closing in on me, you know, and I was too numb to care, you know, like what happened to me in a way. So I was just, I started seeing that number and I'm like, well, here we go with this, you know. And then I remember a few days before the event happened that I'm fixing to get into, I remember just telling the Lord, I said, look, you know, I said, if I was supposed to seek out this number, if there was something, if I had a part in this that I was supposed to do to find out what you were telling me all this time, now and years ago and any time in between, you know, if there was something that I was supposed to do, I think I think we both know, obviously, I did not do it, you know. Like, Lord, I didn't do it. And I don't know how to find it. But if you want me to know what this means, you know, I wish you'd show it to me, you know. But before something happens to me, if something's fixing to happen to me or whatever, you know, just, you know, I don't know how to get in a spiritual state to ask you of anything, but I'm just asking you, I want you to show me this number, and you know that I will reason it away in my mind if it's not clear. You know, you could show me, Lord, and I would probably find a way to talk myself out of it and say, well, that's not what it meant. So I said, well, if you show me, you know, just, I want you to make it clear, you know. And then I didn't think much more about that after I said it. That was just, I said it, and that was it. And so I go on. Well, a guy from church, a brother of mine, very good man of God, just a man that I truly love. Just you can always turn to, and he truly is a soldier for Jesus Christ and a man of God. He had been trying to reach out to me, you know. Well, I'm down on myself. I feel this big. I feel like, you know, I can go talk. I don't feel like I could get back up, so I didn't want to talk to anybody, you know. So I'm shading him, just, there's no doubt. And he been reaching out to me, and then so I finally go to church. I don't remember why, but maybe it just out of desperation. So I finally went to church one night, I think on a Wednesday night, and he was there. And man, of course, he confronts me, you know, like, just very directly. You know, I've been trying to get a hold of you, and I'm thinking, you know, well, clearly, you know, we both know that. So I said, yeah, man, I just, you know, kind of lied to him. You know, I said, well, I feel better tonight because I went to church. You know, I just been in a bad place. And he wanting details, and I was like, man. So anyway, it ended with, you know, I'm going to call you, but I want you to answer your phone. I said, oh, yeah, okay, I will. Or I may have told him I'd call him. So then a few nights later, I think I ended up calling him. I can't remember, but I think we had texted each other. He might have called me. One of us called the other one. So we get on the phone and we're talking, and he's like, well, what is it? What's been going on? I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you know, like, yeah, I don't know, you know, I remember just wanting to get off the phone, but not needing for anything, just because I was ashamed of myself. Nothing to do with him, but I remember thinking, man, so I started telling him, well, man, you know, the Holy Spirit started showing him stuff, you know, and he's, you know, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but he's just like, man, do you understand what kind? He's starting to see it, you know, and feel it in the spiritual realm. He said, man, do you know what kind of attack this is, man? Like, the devil is literally like coming in for the kill, like for the knockout, man. And I already knew it before I even talked to him, like that this was a turning point in my life. But Lord, I don't even know which way to turn to the right, you know. I don't even know how to turn to the right thing. I don't even know where to start. I've done gotten so far. So he, like I said, he's a soldier for the Lord. Well, he's like, well, let's get off the phone, man. I'm gonna come to your house. And I'm like, dude, you don't have to come to my house, you know. So I live a good ways out of town. I said, hold up, hey, dude, just let me drive to town. You know, I'll come to town and we'll talk. You know. So by the time I get to town, I meet him in one place, and our pastor was there. He done called him, you know. So then he's there, and then the three of us end up at the church, you know, and then we go in here, and man, he's telling me some stuff, you know, that I need to pray for, you know, and some stuff the Lord's showing him, and I start praying, man, and I just get mad at the devil, you know, and then I start just, you know, pouring my heart out to God, you know, and repenting, you know, and I just wanted forgiveness so bad, you know, but I felt like I was at a place where I just was ashamed to even ask for it, you know, because I just felt like I was such a failure at everything I was supposed to have ever done. And then, so we have this, you know, whole episode at the church, and then the three of us end up leaving. And I remember driving home, not feeling really much different. You know, I ain't say I was depressed or anything. I was tired, probably, because I don't think I was sleeping very good during that time. But I'm driving home, and so I remember I get there, and well, my little girl was in there, and she was watching something on TV, my youngest baby, and she had, so me and her sit down on the couch, and I went and got a phone charger and plugged my phone up in the living room, and because it's getting later. Well, she had been sick earlier that evening, and so she took a long nap, and then I think she had a headache or something, and then, well, later on that night, you know, when I get there, she's awake and bouncing off the walls and wanting to watch her show, and everybody else is wanting to go to sleep, so I'm just, you know, so I'm just hanging out with her, and then I kept kind of dozing off, and then she'd wake me up and want me to change it to something else, you know, so we end up falling asleep on the couch, and at some point during the night I go get in my bed, you know, go to my bedroom, and then the next morning I get up, and I'm walking around and looking for my phone, and first I get up and I look at the clock in our room, and it's 9:11, and I thought, all right, Lord. And I remember thinking on my way home the night before, I remember thinking, Lord, if I didn't just surrender, if I didn't just put, you know, get it all out there, then I just don't know how to, you know. From here, I don't know what else to do. You know, I'm at the end of anything I can do, Lord. So if, you know, you got to take it from here, if that's what's going to happen, you know. And, but I don't know. From here, I don't know what to do. So, I look, and it's 9:11, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, and I still don't really feel different. I hadn't got much sleep, and you know, what little I had slept had been like from the wee hours of the morning till now. So then I walk in the living room to get my phone where I left it plugged up. Now I unplug it, and in the middle of the night, you know, my buddy, the same one who had called me the night before, you know, and I'd met in town, had sent me he just sent me a Bible verse and said, this is what the Holy Spirit gave me for you. And it said Psalms 119, 9 through 11. And when I looked at the screen on the phone, I know to some people it may sound simple, but as I read it, I remember like a revelation going off in me, like a light bulb, like it coming back to me what I had said to the Lord days before. And I remember thinking, man, like he just answered me right then and there. He said, you wanted to know what the 9/11 meant. And I'm not kidding. Every bit of this was just as clear as it could be. And so you wanted to know what it meant, and you told me to make sure that you wouldn't doubt it. So here it is, backwards and forwards. There's the numbers. And I also knew that they were there the entire time. You know, they were right here in the Word the entire time. And you weren't ready for them, but now you are. Now you're ready to know what 9/11 meant the entire time. So I get my Bible and I look it up, and I read it, and I mean, I love all of this book, you know, and but this was just, you know, when I read this, I think y'all will understand. If you've been with me so far in this video, thank you. And so I read it, and I'm thinking, man, like there's a fight of being a Christian every day, you know. But if you can always go back to this, you know, if you get in a fight or if you lose your way, so to speak, or something, or start to get off course, you can always go back to this. Because this is simple, but in a way, it's also everything. And it says, wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? Meaning, how, you know, can a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto, according to thy word. With my whole heart have I sought you. O let me not wander from your commandments. Thy word have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against thee. And so there it was, and it was like, man, this is it. And I mean, there was never a time in my life I didn't have a Bible, but I've never lived in one. I've never made one truly the guide of my life and just sold out and just, this is it, you know. So, and like I said, I don't really understand. I'm just, you know, the Lord just moved on me, and I'm glad. Like I said, I know I had been saved, you know, and I know I had known the Lord at times in my life before that. But when I tell you that this revelation was in me, that, you know, here it is. Here, now it's time to make a choice. Which way you gonna go, you know? Like, this is, like, I just pulled you out from where you were. Here it is, you know, I got a work for you to do. But this wishy-washy, I'm telling you, I knew that, like, this was just embedded in my spirit. This wishy-washy, this riding the fence and going back and forth, like all the people that you saw all your life you didn't want to be like, well, stop being like them, you know, stop. Just, here it is, you know, do you love me or not? And from what I felt like, and then just like that, what Jesus did for me, and the way he picked me up, I already loved him more, but I fell in love with the Lord from that day on in a way, and he transformed my life in a way, and it has not been perfect. And man, I have fought battles. The life of a Christian is not a gravy train with biscuit wheels like some people will make. It's extremely hard, but it's the only life worth living. And because if you're not in Jesus, you are not living your purpose on this earth. And and now I know that this word is the only truth. I know that that it's foolishness to stray away from it. And like I said, I hadn't been perfect, and there's been plenty of fights, you know. And man, I don't always do the right thing. I'm definitely not perfect, but I just thank the Lord for what he did for me and what he showed me. And then I hope that this testimony or this story helps somebody, you know, and then and I hope I've done a pretty good job of presenting it. And I just hope the Lord blesses this series going forward, you know, this All That Matters going forward. I'm going to try to do one, I hope, every week, but, you know, I don't want to press it. I want the Lord to give me something, you know, so I hope this helps some people, and I hope it helps me, and I look forward, you know, to getting in the Word with y'all, whoever will watch it. But and well, of course, I mean, like I said, I love to film. I know that this is important, you know, and I know that in this, when I say I named it All That Matters, because this is what comes first. You know, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all the other things will be added to you. And that is, every word of this book is true, but that's just another one that just came to my mind, you know. But I love to hunt, and I love to film videos, and, you know, do all those things. But this has to come first, you know, for me, and this is what matters. And if you feel like something's missing in your life, you know, and you don't feel fulfilled, if you don't know Jesus, then that's what it is. And I love y'all, and I just, like I said, anybody that's watched it this far, I thank you, and in Jesus' name, thank y'all for watching.